Well, we take you to Sudan next, where airstrikes continue to hit the capital this Saturday. Hundreds of people have been killed since the conflict began. That conflict, of course, putting the leader of Sudan's army, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and his deputy turned rival, Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, who commands the paramilitary rapid support forces, against one another. Well, the latest unrest coming just hours before the warring parties were due to hold their first direct talks in the Saudi Arabian city of Jeddah. Let's get you more on this. France 24's Leela Jacinto joins us in the studio. I mean, Leela, walk us through, if you will, these talks. They finally, managed to get these parties around the table. What's at stake and what's the ultimate aim coming out of this?
Well, as you said, this is the first meeting of representatives of these two warring generals, so that's a hopeful sign. However, they are not face-to-face talks. Before the talks even began, the army, Burhan's representative in the Saudi city of Jeddah, said that the army would not sit down with a representative of what they call the rebellious paramilitary. So we are not seeing face-to-face talks. These are indirect talks. But at least the two parties have come together for the first time. That's a hopeful sign. What they are trying, what's on the agenda is actually pretty limited. The primary aim is humanitarian corridors. We are, these two representatives of these two parties are meeting exactly 3 weeks after fighting erupted and has brought Sudan to its knees. And so what they will try to get is humanitarian corridors so that the aid can reach the people that require the aid very badly, and that people trying to flee can leave their homes in safety. They're also being pushed to hammer out mechanisms of how to secure basic civilian infrastructure, like hospitals, doctors, clinics, that kind of things, and maybe work on some mechanisms so that to monitor a ceasefire, because we've had many ceasefires that have not worked. So maybe some sort of monitoring mechanism to make these ceasefires whole. But these are not political talks. And the core issues that have brought these two generals to fight this sort of existential fight are not on the table right now at Jeddah. So it's a very limited goals.
So then they're not on the table, meaning that the core issues of how to stop this fighting will not ultimately be top of the agenda at these talks.
Not at these talks, and the core issue is actually an old one. It's in Sudan. It's a problem of military kleptocracies and immunity, the immunity that they have enjoyed, and if this has to stop, the immunity has to stop. Now, when it comes to military kleptocracies, this is not particular just to Sudan. It's common in the region, particularly in Egypt, which is a very powerful player in Sudan right now. Both General Burhan and General Dagalo, who's called Hemedti, are at the heart of these vast military commercial networks. They have business interests that go into ports, mining, banking that finance them. And they have never been held accountable for it. The Sudanese people have been very clear. They do not want General Burhan nor Hemedti. The thing to watch now, if these pre-negotiation talks, if we make any progress and that we head into substantive talks, the thing to watch now are what are the agendas of the mediators? And are the agendas of the mediators the same as what the Sudanese people want? Because the Sudanese people say that they risked their lives in 2019 to oust Omar al-Bashir, the longtime dictator, who was a military man. And the international community failed to make this, to ensure that power was transferred to democratic civilian administrations. And 2021, when the military generals were supposed to hand over power to the civilians under this transition agreement, they didn't do that, and the international community did not do anything about it. And sort of this is really, we're seeing the results of what this happened. So going forward, right now, tomorrow, actually, the Arab League is holding a meeting on an emergency meeting on Sudan. The thing to watch is there are countries like Egypt that have they officially state that this is a Sudanese problem. But behind the scenes, they would like to see what they call a legitimate military being able to oust a paramilitary.
Okay.
That is obviously not what the Sudanese people want. So on the
Absolutely.
table has to be handing over power to transitional authorities and ending the immunity that they have always enjoyed.
Okay, Leela, thank you from our International Affairs Desk. Thanks very much for the latest on Sudan and those warring parties talks in Saudi Arabia.